All righty, everybody. Another wonderful live stream with a special guest. Thank you for coming in on a Saturday evening, afternoon, or wherever place you are at. Appreciate you coming in. And my special guest for tonight is Jose from Joy of Fishkeeping. Welcome, my friend. Thanks for coming in on this Saturday evening. I appreciate it. And I say hello to everyone and introduce yourself.
Hi, everyone. This is Jose. I am Joy of Fishkeeping. I live in New York. I am originally from the Dominican Republic. I am 62 years old today. And I've been pretty much in the hobby all my life back home. I came to the States in 1974. I was 11. But prior to that, back home in some of the streams, local stream, we would catch a lot of mollies, guppies, endlers. And we always kept them, in whatever containers we could. So that's where things begin. When I transferred here to the States in 1974, at about, I think, maybe 13, 14, my mom got me a 20-gallon long. That was my first real fish tank.
Yeah.
And of course, at the time, we somehow kept fish alive, did everything wrong.
Just like me as a kid, you're always learning.
A lot of the errors that everybody new into fish keeping makes. Then once I got married and moved into a house, then I had a 75-gallon tank. That was probably in about 88 or so. So I had some discus. Then I like discus a lot, as you can see in this other tank here. And I had two discus at the time. And I kept them alive for a while. And then sometimes, just again, not knowing, I don't know what ammonia levels were, because that's not something that we regularly checked. At least I didn't.
No, I didn't for sure when I started. So I get it.
I think most of us didn't. And then I think there was a period of about 10 years I didn't have any fish tanks. And during the pandemic, I got a 7-gallon tank for my daughter with the whole sponge bath theme, as I was telling you before.
Always a good thing to start with kids, isn't it?
Yeah, it was for her. And, life happens sometimes. You get remarried. So this is where I am now. I have an 8-year-old. My oldest is 39.
Okay.
I have a total of 5. I have a 16, 31, 37, and 39.
Oh,
but
wow.
At the house where we still call on the house with my ex-wife, and two of the older kids still live at the house. So there's I had a 75-gallon there, which I said that's where I had the original discus, and we had I think after that life happened and divorce. So it was about a period of about 10 years I didn't have any fish. And then I took it down again during the pandemic. So I'm up to 11 tanks now and trying to get more in. But that's, as I was telling you before, that's a negotiation at home. But that's how it goes.
That's how it always is.
I am a nurse, a registered nurse by profession for 41 years in New York City area. I do primarily emergency room nursing, and I work at another hospital where I work in a recovery room. But it has always been critical care based most of the time. So that's me in a nutshell.
Yeah, well, I appreciate you sharing that with us. I know there's only a few people in here, but I kind of like to give, like, for anyone who watches the replay, to do like the first 15, 20 minutes of like the introduction and get to know you a little bit. So that way people, if they don't have a lot of time on their hands, they can kind of get to know the first 15, 20 minutes and then go from there. So I appreciate you sharing that with us. But yeah, it's good to hear that it seems like everyone, whenever the pandemic kind of happened, it seems like when people started to get back into the hobby again, and that kind of essentially what happened to me. It was just irony at its best for myself that I was in the transition of like moving into a house, and then everyone else was moving, like my mom and dad were, and my grandma was. So we were all just doing these moving around things, and that's what kind of started the hobby back up for me, and realizing I had a lot more room than I needed to. So it was kind of like in your example, when the pandemic started, there wasn't a whole lot to do, but everyone start new hobbies, Yeah,
that was the one thing that you could do that it was still open, because for us, working in my hospital, we have 35 operating rooms, and all of us are pretty much working in recovery. We all are critical care nurses, so they converted 30 of the 35 operating rooms into COVID ICU. So we had 3 to 4 patients in each operating room converted to now in ICU. Wow. So we were all in there 24/7, and a lot of us got sick early. I was within the first, I think, early in March when stuff started, I was home for about 30 days. So thank God. Well, I was actually happy when I saw that it was COVID. That's when everybody
Yeah.
was dropping like flies.
It was a scary time, man.
It was because when you go through that stuff in life, and then just to hear a lot of the nonsense that was said on the internet, a lot of the deniers, and I
Yep.
say you have to be in our shoes that were in healthcare, and it was really not an easy time where you're really bagging that many people a day. It was not easy, and I
No.
got really annoyed, when people would make comments and that this was not real, that it was, it was sad to hear that people they go with the, they go with all their conspiracy theories that they hear out there, which is sad.
Yeah. You really don't want to believe certain things that are happening, and then when you actually see it happening yourself, and you're being in the medical field, you're actually witnessing some of this stuff in person. It's a scary time. It's that much worse for you. So you really, I guess, thank you for all your time and efforts for all your medical service. It means more than you probably think.
Yeah, I'm looking at some of the people. I was trying to connect to the phone to the chat. Gordy.
Yep, Gordon's in here. Hydro, Fathom's in here.
Yep. Thank you for popping up, guys.
Yes, thanks for coming in early. I appreciate it. We'll probably have more rolling in. I would hope so. So is there anything else you'd like to share with us as far as, kept you going?
No, I think as we just go along, there's always, work stories that you can share will probably just come up as it becomes appropriate, during the conversation. Yeah. I've done a live with Mexicali and one of the guys in Spain before.
Okay.
I did Spanish and English with Mexicali. One of the things that I like to do on my channel is that if I do a topic on something, I also do it in English and then do the same video, but sometimes I wind up saying different stuff or adding different stuff as you just kind of flow doing the recording, so that it reaches us a lot of people in Spain and Mexico that watch the channel.
Yeah, so that would probably help, because if they don't speak a whole lot of English, and that way you can do it for them as well. Because I think I remember seeing that one time when I was doing a live with probably you, and I would watch it, and I was like, "Oh, it's in Espanol."
Yes,
and I was like, so I was trying to refresh my memory, because I've been in Dominican Republic myself several times. So
yeah, most times is most of the people that watch, as you know, with the channel, you have a lot of people that watch. Maybe 90% of the people are not subscribed, but that's okay as long as people are seeing it and you hope to share this. Growing up, going through school, through nursing school, through college, computer certainly was not a thing when I graduated in '83. Cell phones were not a thing, So when we started, when I went back, I did later another after nursing. I did a biochem major, and then computers were starting to come around. So then research and everything you did was more computer based, and you didn't have to spend hours in the library and different libraries looking for stuff for research. Right. So it was a different world. And today, certainly, I don't think how many people go to the library. All the internet search, so it's how you did papers and you did everything was very different. Yes, but with that being said, for us older, I'm 62, as I said earlier in the introduction. With the technology thing, that's something that we have to kind of learn quickly. And YouTube my wife was the one who suggested, why you have a lot of years in fish keeping, a lot. Why don't you just do a channel and share some of the information, which is more what I like. Is another part of the hobby, which is fun and interesting, And I think last week I had 1,000 subscribers in just about a year now, which is, I was very excited with the first 100. It was maybe 30 or 40.
That was kind of like me too. I was like, oh, actually, people are watching me, but it's not really that.
I reached 100. You start to get positive comments. I've been lucky so far, because some of the stuff that I put out, it's information that I know, and especially doing in two language. Although my primary language is Spanish, and I'm certainly fluent in it, but let's say that English is my second language, but I'm more fluent in English than I am in Spanish, because I've been speaking for 50 years English.
Yeah.
primarily.
So you have that experience, that it's okay, to do either or.
Yeah. And often when I'm doing something in Spanish, I said I have to. Well, my wife would hear the video, and she said, that's the word you wanted to use. I said, well, I looked it up in Google just to make sure that I wasn't saying the same thing, because words that we may use in the Caribbean and what's used in Spain may be slightly different. But I try to find if it's something in particular that it's more universal, that most people will
Yeah.
understand.
So that's the thing that's interesting that you bring that up. And I don't know, it's been so many years, but like I remember that being like when I was in Spanish class, how like even if you learn to talk Spanish, there's things in Spain that I guess are a little bit different sometimes, like the dialect of it. So is that true or am I wrong?
You know what happens a lot with Spanish language is, like, some people say there's different dialect in Spanish. There isn't. There's no different dialect in Spanish. Spanish is Spanish.
Okay.
Now, the difference is, uh, I've been in New York State, let's say, because I lived 30 years out of the city, and I moved back
Okay.
after 30 years back to the city. And let's say somebody from, and I always get around that the furthest west I've been in the States is the west coast of Florida, but I expanded a
Okay.
little bit, and I was in Nashville, so that's a little further west. But words
Right.
that we may use in the northeast, may be
Okay.
slightly different than we use in the south, right?
Huh.
And
Interesting. Yeah.
we sound very different. People from New York and we do in the South. Some of the accents, except the Southern accent, I can easily pick up. Maybe I
Yeah.
cannot pick up somebody maybe from Oregon or something like that. But as far as
Yeah.
the Spanish, when I was in college doing my biochem major, I took a Spanish class for native Spanish speakers, right? And that class was
Mhm.
more on grammar and that kind of stuff, not learning to speak Spanish, right? So
Yeah.
the professor, I remember his name, Pina, which means pineapple, right? That was his last name. First
All right.
question as he opened the class. Now, he's Spanish born and native Spaniard. And he says, who speaks Spanish the best? Somebody from Spain or somebody from, let's say in my case, from the Dominican Republic? Of course, who's
Right.
like everybody's going to say Spain, right?
Yeah.
That's another land for us, right?
Mhm.
So then he said, let me rephrase that question. Let's take somebody who is who doesn't have any schooling from a hill in Spain, and let's take an educated college professor in the Dominican Republic who speaks better Spanish. So that changes the thing. So a lot of the time we may sound a little different in Spanish
Uh-huh.
versus the people from Spain and the Dominican Republic. Dominicans, we have a very distinct accent, as the Southern people in the United States have a very distinct accent. You know Southerner when you
Yep.
hear it. Right? So for us,
That
in
makes
huh?
that makes sense then. It's just a different accent instead of like a dialect, so
Yeah. Hey, this Gabriel is on. Zenzing Ginger. How are you?
it,
Uh, Fathom
what
is
this was Fathom said always has something interesting to say.
so with like in Latin America, I could tell a person from Puerto Rico, and we're close islands, 45 minutes by airplane, right? They know a Dominican when they hear it. I know a Puerto Rican person when I hear it, and I certainly know Colombian and so on. I know it as a Spanish speaker who sounds, what they sound like. But again, it's not a different dialect. It's all Spanish.
Yep.
So it's just an accent is better saying than it's a different dialect. It's not a different dialect.
Yeah, just like from like upper New York to like somewhere else in Florida or something like that. That's all the
Yeah,
same.
exactly. Now there is a place
Makes
in
sense.
Spain, I think Galicia or Gallegos, with people from there. They're now they have, because they're divided by a mountain in one area of Spain. They do speak something different where I would not understand it. That's a different dialect of Spanish, because
Okay.
they're separated out by a range of mountains, and over the years they actually developed into a different dialect. But otherwise, Spanish people understand each other. We may sound different, or we may use different words for the same
Okay.
thing.
Makes sense. Interesting. Always something new to learn on this channel, right? And every time I get a new guest on my live streams, it's always something I learn that's new. So that's always a plus. How long have you been on YouTube then?
It's just under a year now. I think I just made a year now in October or maybe September. But again, it was my
Okay.
son actually set up the channel for me, and
Okay.
he edited my first video. So I had to learn quickly because I wanted to edit it the way I wanted to edit it and put
Yep.
what, where, and so on. But he told me, try this one, he's 16 now. So he told me, try CapCut. And that's what I use. And there's a lot of tricks that you learn, and you learn quickly. So, oh, I didn't know I could do that. So you learn as you move. That's why I was talking about earlier, the technology of being an older
Yeah.
person. And it's something new, but it's fun learning. It's always, you never stop learning, which is the same thing I say in
Yeah.
my professional
Yeah,
life.
and it's kind of nice, even with the someone who's started fish keeping, 20 years ago. I feel like there's always at least something out there that you could learn something new from, even like newer fish keepers that may have figured out. You may not be as fluent, as a new fish keeper, learn from old fish keepers, but I always think there's something or some way that you could do something to make the hobby easier or something to learn from. And I think that's kind of the importance of keeping everyone, is my kind of theme, is trying to keep everyone in the hobby together and help each other out. It's kind of like my main goal with YouTube. So yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, and often, I look at a lot of the young channels, and I support them. I subscribe, to them because,
Me too.
I feel the same way when I was starting. It's you're popping. I think one of the first people, and as you know, also not everybody that subscribe because they're a private subscriber just by default. You don't know who
Yeah.
they are. So I don't know who my 1,000+
Right.
people are now, but maybe I know of 50 but that I've been notified. But I think Danny from Danny Aquatics. Danny, I don't know, you're not on here, but if you ever see it, I think Danny and Jorge, they were, and Jorge and also Gabriel from MNC Aquatics. They were some of the first people that subscribed that I saw their names, and
Okay.
it was like, wow, like real fish.
I'm not really sure who was the first that subscribed to my channel. It was probably just my family. But I think the first person that I ever went live with, besides myself, is, I believe it was Jorge, if I'm not mistaken. And he was the one that was getting more fluent, because he was like what we talked about last night. If you watch some of the, did you get a catch of the live stream replay at all a little bit today or no?
No, from last night, no, because I was just caught up watching Jeff Pelham's, and I just stayed up late and between nodding off late, and it's 1:30 in the morning, and I was supposed to be doing water changes. I didn't.
Yeah.
So I forgot. I said, oh shoot, it was Jorge's live with yours. I wanted to watch it because I had it certainly in mind to do, but I went up busy.
We were talking about on that live a little bit about how he really enjoys like joining some of the smaller channels and trying to help them out, and then trying to get them more out there and just get to know them a little bit more, because it's more exciting for him as opposed to trying to go out to the bigger channels, because he likes to try to get to know these people and get them to know the community and stuff. And I think that's really cool.
Yes, sometimes I look at I think most of us, we kind of grow up as far as YouTube is concerned, watching people like Corey from Aquarium Co-op, Primetime Aquatics, and some of these guys, and also blank for names as it comes. I'll get them later. These are people that you like their knowledge, and they were certainly first people like Joey from King of DIY. I never really. I know he's there, but I never really. Once in a while, I watch some of these things, but I was more of a regular watcher of Aquarium Co-ops and some of the people that are tied around him, just learning stuff, because again, the technology certainly have changed, and there are things that were new to you. So, and then
I find myself watching like the older videos of like all the top channels, because it seems like those are the stuff that stuck more to me, because there were more information stuff that I haven't known, like how to build stands, or how to do when I first started, what the nitrogen cycle was, or how to set up substrate, and what to do for different fish. I think that was kind of what was more important to me.
Now, I think also with my with my strong science background, doing some of these videos, I try not to get too technical, but certainly the nitrogen cycle, the chemistry of it, and everything else is something that is kind of interesting for me because of my background. So sometimes you try to to teach something, and again, my learning, the way I like to learn, I don't want to know that this is what you do this to get there. I want to know the hows and the in betweens. But I try not to
Mhm.
go too much into that into any video, and I try to do mostly videos that are instructional, because I know there's a lot of people out there that just don't have the knowledge.
Yep.
You try
Yeah,
to,
I myself wasn't. And that's what I was looking for. So that's a good way to go about it.
yeah, I try to keep most of the stuff that I'm doing in the channel that way. And I remember one of the things I was getting to, one of the uh, fears about starting a YouTube channel is like, what can I say on YouTube that has not been said already?
And that's
Many
the
times.
hardest part. That is the hardest part. That is one of the biggest things that I think that the fish keeping hobby in YouTube is struggling with. Because I've heard different channel YouTubers say the same thing, and it's hard, like you said, not to do something that someone's already done. So
Yeah. Because the other thing is, let's say that we're talking about the nitrogen cycle, right? Again, it's a
yep,
very simple process. It's pure chemistry, and for me,
yep,
not a difficult thing to understand or say, oh, okay, that's what happens. And then to teach it in a simpler way, because a lot of my own professional life, a lot of the things I do is teaching new people, and I learn from them because they're new, or they have the wits about the computers and everything else. Everything is computerized charting
yes,
for us now, and
yep. It
documentation.
sure
That's
is.
something that over the last 20 years we kind of caught on quickly. We had to trial a
Mhm.
lot of the systems, but some of the
Yep.
nurses do it quicker. Then I don't type as fast. I can't. I'm over 2 or 3 finger typer. But you do what you have to do. But you're always
hmm
learning. And teaching is a lot of people say, why don't you're a good teacher in my field, at least. And I'm often
Yeah.
used for training new people. And I think that this is teaching somebody else a new hobby. I can try to make it a simpler way, although that
Yeah.
the subject has been said so many times. But I can probably put it in a different way, a different, not yelling and screaming at some other people, their style. That's not my style. Not in life, and certainly not in YouTube. So I am who you see, I am who you hear in life also. So I'm not a person who's very, hyper in a way, let's say that way. I'm looking at the chats here to see who's here.
Yeah. Is Zen still in here?
Who?
Is Mandy? Are you still in here?
Mandy is what's the channel name? Because I keep a
Zen
list.
Ginger.
Oh, okay. Zenjin's Mandy. Okay, sorry.
Yeah,
Because
because we
I
need
have
to.
a list.
I'll just say ban user and delete their comments. Okay. All right, they're gone. Never mind. Anyways, so one thing that I really like seeing on like YouTube is like just to stay original. So even if something's already been done, it's nice to have like, and I wouldn't necessarily say like how to, filter your or maintenance your filter or water changes. I'm just saying like on a general basis, like someone coming up on YouTube and setting up their own tank and doing it their own way and then saying, hey, this is what worked for me. It's not going to work for everybody else, but it's nice to be able to see someone else go within the hobby, introduce their fish room, say, this is how it looks like, and this is how I got here from all the way from step one to now. And those are the videos I think have more value to them because it's almost shows someone's personality on how they got their YouTube started and what it has progressed to this day. And I think that has a lot of value to it.
Yeah, Mandy says sorry, she's cooking.
Oh,
I hit.
yeah,
I hit.
I already banned and removed their comments, so hopefully that won't happen again. But thank you, though.
Yeah, well, and again, one of the Alex from Fathom said it is Alex from Fathom, right?
Yes.
Yeah, I'm trying to
A
remember.
million people might have talked about any specific topic, but not a single one of them have done it your way or with your unique perspective or the way you would do it. So yeah, that's I'm in complete agreement with that. That's kind of why I like the value of even if it doesn't get like the views that you want. I feel like, in my personal opinion and my experience, when I get to show the value of what I put into the effort of this hobby and I get to share it, it to me it makes me feel good and I get good results from it. So that's kind of my feeling on it.
Yeah, no, and always the great thing. I recently did. I did something about using CO2. Again, it's been many videos out there. I did it, I guess, in a simple way. I don't want to make it complicated or certainly extra long, because most times people don't complete the videos, So, but again, I do it as simple as I can so that it's understood and you get the point across. You get a little too technical, you may get a little bit bored. I remember the we may have, I don't know if you've had any haters, but occasionally you get people who make a comment, and
Yeah.
I've been lucky so far, I guess. Well, I
Yeah,
did.
I've had a few comments here and there, but it was nothing that like I was ever like dwelling on. I was just kind of like one of those, delete and forget
Oh
about
yeah,
it.
yeah. It was. I think
But
the first. I'm sorry. I don't know if I cut you off.
oh, I was just gonna finish off with, it was just one of those things that you just don't worry about. If it's something, I had my first comment recently. It was like about a week ago, and I actually didn't even know what a word meant. I had to look it up, and I'm just like, well, that's not me. So I just deleted the comment and was like, whatever.
I did a while back. It's probably last Christmas actually, which I was just very the channel was just very new. I did something on phosphates and plants. Right now, phosphates, as far as I was concerned, it was all chemistry, and I'm talking about the beginning part of the thing. And this guy who happens to be from the Dominican Republic, somebody back home, and he says, and I show the periodic table, which is
Oh
chemistry.
yeah.
Chemistry. I showed it briefly just to say that phosphorus is an element, right? Not phosphorus, not phosphate, two different things. So it was a quick flash of it, and then the guy
Uh-huh.
says, "Oh, come on, you went too far by mentioning the periodic table." I said, I said, tell me what phosphate do, and that the water will stink and everything else. And then I gently treated him with kindness, and I told him, I said, well, probably you didn't see the rest of the video, but the way I
Right.
like to learn, like I said before, I don't like to just see this is how you get there, but I like to know the in between, how things happen, how reactions happen. And I said, and then I told them, that I did speak about that. And then he talks about there's a product, I don't know what it's called, from CChem. It's called, he didn't say the name right. He couldn't mention when it was. And I said, as a matter of fact, these three products, I do use all of them, and I know them well because I keep them all at home. So, I
Oh
do
yeah.
know about this, and so the funny thing about it is, that same guy, he probably doesn't remember. But then later on, this other person from the Dominican Republic, I don't know their age, but it sounded like they were maybe a younger person.
Yeah.
He contacts me, and he says, he tells me, he makes a positive comment, and he says, I just got here, my wife brought me over, and I just bought this 50-gallon tank from a cousin that's moving to Texas. He says, can you give me one of your fish? And I said, I'll be glad to buy your fish and give it to you, but not my own, because they went through my quarantine process, and now my fish are not leaving my house, right? And
Yep.
I actually
Yep.
offered
That makes sense.
that was given to me, but he never contacted me back. But that same guy recommended the first hater that I said. So he writes back and he says, I was recommended by this other person, and he's, that you are really a good channel. He says, I didn't want to remind him, oh, you are the same guy that made that comment. But
Yeah. Right. That's
I've been
funny.
lucky. Yeah, my 39-year-old told me, Dad, you're gonna get haters. Just brush them off. But I've been
Yep.
lucky so far.
That's all you can do. And then don't
Yeah.
let it ruin your day, because at the end of the day, sometimes the people that are on here, I mean, they don't even, don't see them. So it's like, who cares?
Yeah, that's true. And again, like anything else, you always have all the experts, who know everything, who know more than anybody else. And it's like, listen, watch the rest of the video, listen
Yep.
to, what you're saying, and that I'm talking about this topic, not something else, So I'm not focusing about that other part of it. That's a different subject, a different video.
Yeah. Uh-huh. Can't always put everything into one video, that's for sure, because there's always
Yeah.
something you could add into it, and you're like, all right, we got to save this for another day.
Mm-hmm.
But phosphates, like when you brought that up, phosphates are like in almost everything, though, aren't they?
Yeah. I tested the water in New York City as I've said in many videos, I don't make any adjustments in my water at all. But
Okay.
the phosphate coming out of the tap, I forget what the value was, but it's high, right? Immediately, very high. And one of the things you fight with different things, my plants do generally very well. The discus tank, for some reason, although it was always my best tank, the Anubias some of them have been doing kind of poorly. The leaves fall off sometimes when I put a new plant in. And I think the only thing that points to it could be just Anubia rot, which is the only thing, that I can see.
Oh yeah. You said Anubia?
Anubias, yeah, I have different varieties. Okay. The other times they do great and they flower and they do all and stuff here. But lately, I don't know if maybe from what I've been reading lately, trying to figure out what it was. And I'm doing all the right things for them. The water current is good. I do water changes once a week, and the temperature, I keep this all the tanks. I pretty much keep them at 82, except the one behind me. I keep it at 79, 80. But the other ones have rams in it, which like warmer temperature. And all the other tanks are at between 79 and 82. Discus and
with your discus tanks, your discus tanks stay around. Like I heard that you can keep higher temps, or it was kind of like requirement, but might be wrong on that.
I keep them at 82. They do like higher temperatures. Some people keep them at 84, even 86. I keep them at 82, so everybody's happy in there. Anubias what were you gonna say? Sorry.
Oh, I was gonna say, well, that's good. This is a past coworker of mine I used to work with. He said he loves a discus. Maybe we should show those off first while we're hanging in here for a little bit, if you can.
Oh, sure. You want me to switch over camera?
Yeah, somebody. Yeah.
Oh, we can do it at any point. Yeah, I can show you show you around the other tanks. I'm going to switch
Cody.
over to the other camera. Hopefully you can hear me.
In.
Let me get back on to. I will. Yeah, I'm on the other camera now on the phone. Yeah, so I keep all the discus at 82. And I knew the temperature. I think the upper limit is 82 also. So, and they've always done well there before, they're doing well in the other times. But this one is the yellowing, some leaves drop. So I don't know. I'm trying. Yeah, I'm backstage now on the phone.
Yeah, are you ready for me to add this on?
Yeah, you can.
Okay.
All right. So no. I don't hear any feedback.
No
so we're good.
I don't hear anything. I think you're good, man.
All right, let's see. Let me switch the camera around. All right, so let me start with this is the discus tank here. If you see slightly, let me turn it around so you don't see me. Yeah, if you see slightly yellowing in the waters, that I'm doing treatment now, which is a periodic thing. So these guys here, I have a total of 24 discus. I have some that are behind me in treatments and breeding. But I was telling you before, let me see which is right here. This one here is the San Mara. This is a father of the, and this one here, she turns around. This is the mother. I had about 200 fries from them, and I have 4 left. This is one of them. So they're just about 11 months now. Another one here. If he turns around, she, I don't know yet what sex it is. This is one of the other fries, and this is the tiny one here. This is the smallest one, and this one here. Those 4 remain, but this is a recent one. Just finished quarantine. So you see some of the Anubias, the coloring on them are some yellow spots.
They're fantastic. They're lush and green and very healthy.
And out of these guys, these are Nano Petite. I put them in recently. The back, but they're also floating leaves. See that some of the leaves just fall off.
Yeah.
And but overall, they've always done well. But the cryptocorynes, these are been divided multiple times, and they do quite well. There's another large one at the back, and this Tiger Lotus with CO2 that I inject CO2 on my tank. So this color, after I started adding it again, it was off for a few months because I did some work on the floor and disconnected. Like my floor, I did by hand.
Wonderful. So you're trying to match with it and add some little splash of color to it too.
Yeah. So this one, died off, and then it came up with leaves again. But it's taking a very reddish color with the CO2. So
Yeah.
as everybody knows, the CO2 certainly will make a big difference. This discus here, this bright blue one, it's
Yeah,
a blue diamond.
that's
This
a
is
beautiful one. I tend to, be more prone to going towards the bluefish myself,
yeah,
so that was
I like
beautiful.
blue, red, and black in fish.
Yep.
So this one, you hear me okay? Because I'm away from the camera, right?
Yeah. Yeah, you're fine, man.
Yeah, I'm looking at the computer and I see the slightly yellowish tint in the thing. It's just medications that this particular,
Okay.
hexamida is cichlids and this especially.
Yes.
These two there, they've been breeding constantly. So, but this blue discus that's here with the other one that I'm going to show you in a little bit, he
Okay.
was, they're breeding in a community tank. So there's a lot of stress of defending the eggs. So as soon
Oh
as
yeah.
he made a batch of eggs, he burst out with the hole in the head. It looks like a little pimple, then it bursts and you remain with the hole. But
Oh, okay.
I took him out and treated him. Actually, I treated the whole tank with what I usually would do for quarantine. I treated them and the whole closed completely. So the thing is, if I notice anything strange, any odd behavior, I immediately separate them or just treat the whole tank.
Yeah,
So
that was gonna be my next question, and what you did with them once they start breeding and all that. So I didn't know that.
Yeah, because like I said before earlier when we were chatting, I think before the live started,
Yeah.
letting them go out through the process of breeding and so on. So these are the two young ones here next to each other.
Uh-huh.
Two of them have the color of mom, and they're coloring up nicely. Sorry if
Yeah, they are.
moving here.
And that one there in front of us is a male too, the red and white one.
Yeah, this one is it looks like a female, actually. It looks like a female has not tried pairing off, but these guys are always pairing off constantly. And if I had the space and I had the tanks, I don't know how many, because then the problem for me is what do I do with the fries? I don't have the time to sell them, to ship them. And let me go back. Sorry, I'm going to change the camera. Let me just put my hand over so we don't see the quick camera movement. So these guys, one of the problems that I had, this particular one, this one I have it on. He's being treated. When I treated the hexamine about 3 weeks ago, he should be treated 2 to 3 weeks later again because any that were in a certain stage, either larva, the medication don't affect. They affect the adults.
Okay.
And I separated these guys because they've been thinning out. Sometimes they're a little shyer once they get out competed for food, so there's no disease going on. But
Well, that's good.
I have them alone, and this is another blue diamond. And this other pair down here is again is overfeeding to get them to eat because they eat well. It's just that they've gotten thin. And this is a breeding pair. They have babies. They're swimming all over the place now, but there's not a big batch. This big one, right? So once he finished quarantine and I put him in the tank, he immediately took the other female from the other male, from the dark blue one.
Oh my gosh.
This was the female. The other one was defending his territory. So then I separated this couple out because this female and the other blue ones, they had babies, but they ate the fry maybe like 2 weeks into it. And I said, let me try one with this couple. And immediately they laid eggs and they're constantly doing it. So these are them gaining weight. Let me jump over this cable here so I don't know if you can see this rack, which is what I was telling you before. So this cabinet I built, so the metal rack there, I was able to put tanks. So I have 3 tanks on the top, 2 20s, and 5.5. So these I use for treatment. These was from an auction for Jeff Talon's the auction. So this is some cacatoides here.
They're beautiful.
Quarantining and other stuff. And down here in the 5, I have a pair of Crevenses that laid egg for me, and they just got here. And there goes the SpongeBob.
The Mr. Krabs place or whatever.
Sorry about again here movement. And this is another 20 that I have here. This large yellow one, he's at least 7 inches, so he's quarantining.
Okay, what's the name of that? That one's I like that really like gold yellow color. It's pretty.
Yeah, this is a solid yet. I was looking. There's like 2 other discs that I have in mind, so I just look around, and when I see him, I said that's the one. So I wanted something that was kind of pure solid yellow like this one here.
Okay.
So once I found them, I said, all right, so this is it. And so that's the discus tank. Let me cover the camera again for.
Yep.
So that's this other tank is a 90-gallon. I have a good mix of a bunch of rainbows, some electric blue acara. I've been trying some of the milder cichlids.
Like Central and South American, electric blue acara. You got some rainbows.
Yeah, when I did this tank, I did it for primarily because I wanted geophagus in here, like the sand sifting and that they do.
That was the main reason why I got the geos too. Is that's what's in my other window tank, is because I like the sand sifting and how much that they are just a calm fish and pretty chill.
I love the activity from them, and I also have a school of Buenos Aires tetra here, which are deadly to plants.
Yeah.
Most of you may know. So I was forced to using some plastic plants here because I just like the color and the greenery. And
it really goes well with the colors of the fish too.
Yeah. So this is it's a nice active fish. And by the way, anybody who's thinking out there they overstock, I do overstock my tanks, and I don't have.
Yeah, that was gonna be my next thing. Is it seems like you do a lot of the overstocking, and that's what I'd like to lean more towards. That helps me out, and that's what has helped me out with any type of aggression. It's just overstocking.
Yeah, I thought the carrots would be a problem, but they just that these three here, they've been so nice, and they don't nobody bothers anybody here. And
that's
so
fantastic.
That one we overstocked on purpose. So all of my tanks are, and I do once a week, 80% water change. I don't have an issue with really.
That's wonderful.
And,
my coworker said that they everything's absolutely amazing, and he says he'll catch the rest on YouTube. He said that one yellow goldfish looks like a mango. That one discus.
Yeah, one this guy's interesting here. I wanted to get him for a while. This is one of the African leaf fish. Don't ask me now. I cannot pronounce the name.
Oh, the name.
Yeah, it begins with CT, the genus name.
Okay.
I cannot pronounce it because it's a CT, the spelling beginning. But one of the reasons why I didn't get them was because I know they have a very big mouth and they can eat. Probably a cardinal would fit easily in the mouth once they're adults. So I don't have cardinals. The smallest fish in here is these Odessa barbs, and these are small. They're relatively new, and they'll grow. So
and they don't ever get bothered due to the other size of the fish, then, huh?
Yeah, no, they're not going to. None of these guys so far has been an issue. Now, I think one of the most that beats all the odds is look, this is a tiger barb. Don't ask me how many I have here, and now they're story of being fin nippers.
Okay. Yeah, and that's what I always heard about the tiger barbs. So, have you ever had any issues, especially with the angelfish in there, or like the gold tetras, or the?
No, look what's in here with the tiger barbs.
Well, that's fantastic.
And look at the other thing here. Look at these glowfish. This one back here.
Oh yeah.
At least 2 years. Never been bothered.
Wow, and none of their fins look great, and they're not harmed at all or anything.
No. See the Anubias here, they're much better than the other place. And so is the tiger lotus here. I added these couple of plastic here just to hide the intake pre-filter there. But again, I'm not much into plastic, but sometimes some fish you have to. Now, the story with this angel here was, you see the fins are they're not shredded as it were originally. But
a little tattered, yeah.
Another angel that I had in the other tank. The other one's beating the hell out of this one. So, but the fins they've grown back a little bit. So anything that looks like shredding, I think I've seen another fish on another channel, this same type, and it looks like their fins kind of end like that with these little trailers, it seems. But they healed, and it was, I said, well, the only time.
Yep, I've always heard that too. The unit the fins kind of get tattered, they have the ability to grow back anyway. So
they have not bothered him. I said this was the only tank that I can put them in. The other ones have an angel, and I found I only keep one angel per tank because it's always an issue sooner or later.
Yes.
So again, going back, this is kind of my living room. This is the 3 tanks here. We open up into the rest of the living room, and then we have this one here that I show you, and then this is the last tank, which is a 60-gallon.
It's a completely like a cube tank kind of, right? It's same width and length all the way around.
So this one is the other. Joe, come back. just what you said, I'm far away from the computer, so I didn't hear it too well. This is the other that was feeding the other one up. But this one here, it's very, again, not, this is, the plants are, well, these anubias are flowering, but it seems that for some reason, something's going on in that tank over there with the anubias. Maybe just the anubias rot, I'm thinking.
Yeah, that's a if you can hear me, that's a great mix, you know, with the angelfish. Then you have the rummy nose along with the redhead tapajos. I think that's a really neat mixture with all those in there.
Yeah, I think it's, yeah, they all, I've tried. Okay, you cut that one out. All right, good. All right.
Yep.
Yeah, this was, yeah, I've tried, again, the all overstock, as you already saw. So that's, but I've not had really an issue with aggression. The only aggression that I have had have been with other angels. Once they breed, you know, they become nasty, and sometimes with each other. So I just kind of just kept to one only per tank.
Which makes sense, because I bet as soon as you put another angel in there, just from experience, like you said on the just a little bit ago, that it just doesn't work.
No, it doesn't. Because sooner or later, these two, they seem to have been from the same batch, although they look a little different, the tail, but I took them out of one tank where I bought them from. And they were, I think they looked about the same when I first got them, but then the fins on the ones that got beat up, they're very different than the other one. The dorsal and the caudal fins looked about the same. They had the same pattern, but the tail fin is very different. The other one is shorter. This one is much longer. But the other one was just, I was having a hard time. I said, let me pull them out and put them with the barbs, which against my better knowledge, I thought that they would have a problem. But I said, well, they don't bother the other one, long fins ones out of there.
Well, that's good. That's really good. I mean, regardless, I mean, their fins aren't that bad. Even with the one that was a little bit broken up, it's still, the rest of the fins were nice and flowy, and everything was still not bad.
Kathy Price and Kevin Price, any relationship? They both are great looking fish. Thank you so much.
Yes, that's both my mom and my dad. They're watching currently. So
nice to meet you both by name here. Thank you so much. They're fans. They're watching your live.
Yes, they've been trying to keep up with my live streams for the most part. You know, depending on their schedules, of course. But they've been through quite a few of mine, so it's been nice to have them on here with everybody else.
Welcome, Jesse. He says, "Just what is going on here?" Hi, Jesse. Thanks for stopping.
Hey, Jesse. Zen mentioned something. As he said, the turquoise snakeskin one in the group was gorgeous. Do you know which one that Mandy's talking about?
We're talking about the discus, because there's some snakeskin.
I think so. Yeah.
Oh, the snakeskin. Oh, yes. I think it's the one that is there's a fine line snakeskin that is with the one that has fry now. Okay. Yeah, that one is the big one. Yeah, that one is a pretty one. Yeah.
My dad's pretty amazed with how we can remember the names of fish, and I guess it just comes with experience.
Gordy, Red Laser, he was on a chat in one of the lives. I don't know whose chat he was on, but I've been looking at the black cories. Didn't mention them when I show you the 60-gallon where the other angel is. That I've been looking. I primarily like the stir-by cory. They have bred from me. So I have some of them are babies, and they constantly laying eggs. I just, again, don't have the time to watch them and pull the eggs out, because they just get, you know, they get finished by the other fish. But I like the black cories. As I said, I like black, blue, red, and fish. And
yeah, I've always been a fan of cories, and I'm with Red on this one too. That, like, even when I was a kid, I've always had cories, because they're just an animated fish that just scurry around the bottom, and it's just nice to have, you know, separation between middle, top, and bottom. And
yeah, and they do such a great job. On the other 6 tanks that I show you, Gordy says that he loves cories. Me too. So anyway, going back to Gordy and the black Venezuelan cories, their price was one of the things that was keeping me away. And he's posted on a comment. So let me answer. I get back to the cories. Salient. Jesse says, "Are those fake plants behind me?" Yes, I had to, Jesse, because I have a school of a group of Buenos Aires and as you may or may not, you know, as most of you know, they love plants. And I've had this 120 over here. Yeah. When I first set it up, there was completely full of plants. Before I had discus in it. So I just redid it with lower plants to make room for the discus.
He says blasphemy.
Listen, believe me fully. The title of that video was I gave up, meaning on the life plants for this fish. There's some life plants in there, but
Yeah.
I like the mix of colors there, so I had to add something just to have it so plain looking. And I believe me that I tried so many plants. There was one type of anubias that are supposed to be tough. I put them in there, and as
Yep.
soon as there was this new bulb coming out of a new leaf, and one of the conga tetras come and just bites it right off and just carries it for a while.
And you're just like, you know what? This ain't gonna work.
So the other tanks that I do have planted are life plants, except that I decided to add like one or two of the tall plants just to hide the pre-filter. So it's a little bit more decorative than seeing that big chunk of
Yeah,
pre-filter.
I think one of these days, I don't think anytime soon, but I want to eventually get a planted tank myself. I just haven't looked up enough information yet and enough fish knowledge to combine them with, a planted aquarium. That's going to be on my to-do list, even before saltwater, because, a lot of people are moving to planted aquariums. I mean, if you were, we were talking about last night with Jorge a little bit, that he's moving most of his tanks. Pretty much almost all of them right now are planted aquariums now with filterless aquariums, is what he likes to call it. So
yeah. Jesse says that beautiful fish. I have not received the discs you said you were going to send me. Not yet, Jesse. I'm waiting for these breeding ones because believe me, when I have all these fries, I'm looking to get getting to get rid of them somehow. So I'll find some friends and I'll probably will be shipping them out to people who may want them at some point.
He wants my frontoses as well. Yeah, I gotta wait for those things to grow. I have yet to do a live stream in front of the Frontosa Aqua Decord tank, but every time I do live streams, it's usually in the afternoons or evenings, and that's when the tank lights off. And then, at this time of year, like, I'm sure that it gets dark earlier and earlier. So it's like, I never get a time to do that,
Kathy, your mom says, how long is that to-do list? Is that you or to me? I'm not sure.
My to-do list is probably a very long one, spanned over 20 years.
I think we all have done it. If it's not the honey-do list, right?
Yeah. Jesse's just messing.
I know you are, Jesse, because I haven't made an offer yet because I have to get them to a size that I would be able to ship them if I don't kill them in the shipping. I've never done that.
Me neither.
That was something when I saw the eggs from the crevences yesterday. That was something that I on the live for David Elfish.
Yeah.
And Jeff Bellum, I was gonna say I'm gonna have to start shipping them out to YouTube friends, because I don't know a lot of people around me who keep fish. There's a few people, so a few co-workers that do, but
I got a buddy of mine that we get online every so once in a while. His name's Tim, and he'll be on the live stream sometimes. I got him into the fish keeping hobby recently within the last few months, but other than that, no one else keeps fish around here. So I'm kind of like the lone star over here in Ohio, that's close to me.
Yeah, but one of the great things about people watching your channel, especially friends and family members, that I know of 3-4 people that have sent me the tanks. Look what I have now. I have a tank, and my sister-in-law in the Dominican Republic. We were there in July, so there was 120-gallon that one of my coworker, another nurse who has fish, and she donated a 20-gallon tank for me with stand and all. They say if you take the fish tank, you have to take the stand, which was fine.
Yeah.
So I actually was able to put it in a box and ship it to the DR. So she sent me. I set it up. It took a little bit longer than the time that we're there to arrive, but I set it up with her and her son. He's 17, 18. So I set it up with them over the phone, and I got the fish. It were mostly glowfish. I got them from this breeder back home. This kid, he's about 4. I said this kid is younger than me. He's about 40, but he has a little bit over 2 million followers.
Oh my goodness!
He's a fish channel in the Dominican Republic, which he has a big problem, but all over the world pretty much. It's just in Spanish, obviously. So I communicate with him on a regular basis, and when I go there, I visit his place. There's a lot of concrete tanks, it's places where he He does a lot of breeding, so he's a lot into discus. He started breeding
That's
discus now, so he's been chatting with me a lot for tips now. So I got to
fair enough.
I got the fish and we put them in a large garbage can until the tank came in and we set it up. But they sent me videos of the tank, which I made a video about that one. Then another close
Cool.
friend, he had a small little thing. I didn't want to criticize him. I said, you need something bigger. But he had a
Uh-huh.
fish in a very small bowl. So he told me upgrade it. So he got a 5.5 gallon tank. So I said, good, making
Yeah.
progress.
Yeah, give it a little bit more room.
Yeah, so that's a nice thing is that you encourage other people because it's, as you know, as any of us who are doing this, know that it's such a great hobby,
Yeah.
for your mind more than anything.
For me, it's, if you're willing to put in the work and effort, to me, it's very rewarding, especially when you're patient with it. Everything's gonna, come eventually. And even if something happens, that sucks, in the fish keeping hobby. I think there's not a single person out there that hasn't lost a fish, but I think it can be like a learning experience. And it can be very rewarding, down the road, and that's why I've kept up with this hobby and picked it back up, a few years ago. So
Yeah.
Hydro wanted to is I don't know if that's for me or you or both, but if you had any aquarium societies or fish clubs near you.
One of the once in a while I do an online search, and I've never been to a club, fish club, and I was looking for some around here. There seem to be in a part of New York, I think somewhere in Brooklyn and places like that. But I have never been anything that is immediately close to me. But I think for me, a lot of the time is a matter of time, or some may be far away. But I want to just to experience it, being in a fish club or just going to one of the meetings. But you know what the problem is, that you go there, you're gonna come back with something. That.
Yep, and that's what happened to me is, even though, because I went to the Ohio Cichlid Association, and that's where I met Ben Ochart for the first time, but I still came back with fish that night too. And I was like, I wasn't planning on it. I just wanted to go for the experience and meet some fellow fish keepers, and I still came back with fish, even though I wasn't planning on it.
Let's see. Jesse says Jose and Mom are like 42. Wait till you get to be my age. To get Jesse's age.
Scatty came in like a ghost.
Hi there.
Hi, Scatty.
What I was saying before about the black Corys and Gordy from Razor was that he's one of the Jesse says I put up a short video on the black Corys, Venezuelan Corys. So I told him he was looking at them but has not pulled the trigger yet. So when I saw them, I said, what the heck? I looked up in Aquahuna. If any of those don't know the site, they do have they're based in Oregon. So, and they have really great prices on. They were actually $20 a piece. So they sell them in pack of 3. So automatically I bought 6. So you're already at 120. So that's one of the things that I was.
It adds up quick, doesn't it?
I wanted to get like 12, but maybe another day I'll do another 6 and just quarantine. They don't hide, which is nice. That's and good. They're all over the tank, all over the place. And my wife thinks that they're laying eggs. He said they came in at a good size, which is I was surprised.
Yeah, that's always good. Where did you say you get them from?
Aquahuna.
Okay.
Yeah, one of the great things about I've gotten a lot of the small fish. I get them from them. The flat rate is $14.99. Sometimes they, depending on how much fish you order, they may pack them in 2 different boxes. It's still the same rate, even if there's multiple boxes.
Okay, well, that's good.
And they do the 2-day shipping, which is not bad. I've never had an issue. If you get any dead on arrival, you send them the pictures, the video, and immediately you get refunded. So it's never been an issue.
That's fantastic.
I like dealing with them. The discus I like to buy locally because I've had kind of bad experiences getting them over mail. I got a bunch before, and I have different patterns and colors in mind. So I watch them for a while, and not that one, but I want that color, that particular pattern, and that's why I rather
more specific, more picky about it than others, sort of thing.
Yeah.
Yep. That makes sense.
I think I feel lucky that I have Discus Madness, which is in New Jersey, is about maybe 45 minutes away from me. So it's always
that's not bad.
Yeah, I said I'm going on a pilgrimage to them. Sometimes there's another place in Queens, New York that I will. It's usually smaller. that dark blue one, I got it from them. The dark blue diamond, and
Yeah.
so once in a while I look for certain things if I see the color that I want, and I'll get it from them. But usually the prices are a lot less, but
Okay.
they're also smaller, and the quality is not the same than Discus Madness. But
Some of
I,
the prices on Discus, I mean, I've seen like some of the full growns that you have. I mean, there's some of the prices for them are crazy too. So I mean, you're very fortunate to be able to grow your own out and raise them up yourself. And
yeah, this yellow one that you saw, the one that's quarantining now,
yep.
that's probably the most expensive one that I've had.
Okay.
And my wife doesn't bother me too much about the price, about the fish, because I don't, I do two full-time jobs, two 12 hours,
Yep.
and I'm pretty much always working, so I justify, I guess I rationalize this. You know what? I don't spend my money elsewhere. I
Mm-hmm.
don't live a lavish lifestyle, you can, I guess, with the salaries, but if I spend, $300, that was expensive.
Yeah.
But
That
again, initially it was like, it was hard to, thinking of spending that much on a single fish.
that's a hard one to swallow for me. I
Listen,
think the most I've spent on a fish is I think like 80, 85, something like that. And that was just for one fish, but that was like the most that it was like that I could
yeah,
stomach.
in
So
'88, I paid $80 for each discus. Remember, I told the first two discus that I had, that was in '88, and they were probably as big as the 11-month old that I have, the fries that I have here.
yeah,
And that was then. So that was like, for me, spending $80 back then, it was like, wow, that was probably
that's
just
probably like $300 in today's world, really.
yeah, it was nuts to spend that money. But again, we know this is an expensive hobby, So if you enjoy
Yeah.
what you do, listen. If I was the kind I would go to a bar, I'd probably spend $300 on a few drinks at nighttime.
And
I
then you
don't.
go home and you have nothing, right? So I mean, at least you're going home with something.
I mean, you could enjoy them for a few years or whatever they last.
Uh-huh.
Excuse me.
That's the kind of the way I look at it, especially like if you're, as much into the hobby as what we all are, and we want a certain tank or a certain fish or a certain specific setup that we're looking for. And as long as, the funds are there and our lifestyle can accommodate to it, it's to me, it's totally worth it.
Yeah, I won't spend this kind of money on a discus, let's say, and short out something in the house or a bill or something that the little girl needs. So
Yeah.
if everything is taken care of, okay, I could spend this week on this one, and he quarantines for X period of time, 6 weeks, maybe then I can spend and get another one.
Yeah.
If
That's
I have,
the way I've done it too. I mean,
yeah,
I kind of go it in spurts, I don't ever go all out and buy like a bunch at a time. It's always like a few here, and then after a few months or so, I'm like, you know what, this would probably work, so let's try this out, sort of thing. Put them in the quarantine just like you do, and go from there.
yeah. Myers is coming on. Hello, Myers. How are you?
Yeah, thanks for coming in, my friend.
So
one thing that I said one thing that I said on last night is I kind of like to share with everyone who wasn't in last night is if I decide to move on from the fry operation, which I haven't yet, it's one of those things that's in the back of my mind is to if I ever were to stop the fry operation and do something different, and I kind of discussed this with Jorge even before like the live stream a little bit, but is I would take all the fish that I've created from my my fry operation, and I would put them in one tank, and that would be kind of like my tank of fish that I've never spent a single penny on, and it's kind of like one of those proud moments that once I've actually raised them up from eggs, put them in tumblers, and these are all fish that I've had in this one tank. So I think that's something I've considered for sure.
Yeah, I think that's one of the, no pun intended on the name, but that's one of the joy of having fish is that to have babies that are born at home and to see them grow up and be adults, almost adults, as these
Yeah.
juvenile discus that I have, and they're like, sometimes I've had three pairs in the main tank over here at the same time laying eggs, and some of the larger ones will just eat the eggs, and the other one, they don't want the competition. But
Uh-huh.
again, I'm not trying to raise every egg that comes up. But if I could, that would be nice. It probably, I don't have to. Again, I don't, with my work life, I don't have
Yeah.
time to do that. But that's
And
nice.
if just like you say with your work life, like if like I always try to bring this up because my wife, she's a real trooper, that if it wasn't for her being home with my daughter, all the time and taking care of her, and then she's able to like feed my fish while I'm doing my busy work schedule and stuff. And I don't
Mhm.
think I would have been as involved if it wasn't for that. So
Yeah.
she does a good job with helping out.
Yeah, a lot of the people ask me often, like, where do you find the time?
I get that question too.
Especially with two 12-hour jobs, it's
Yeah.
why do you work so much? I said, at this point, I have to. I have a financial obligation for all financial baggage that you have to take care of. So, life is life, and you don't plan on it, but it happens, and you got to do what you can and adjust to
Yep.
changes.
Yep, I agree. That's pretty much what I do too. Do what your priorities are tended to, and then from there go on to the fish keeping and then YouTube.
Yeah, but it's
So
it's good because I can, like today, I think as I told you earlier, we voted early because I wanted to make sure that on election day
yeah,
I don't talk politics or religion. But on election day, I didn't want to miss out. There seems to be so much at stake for this election. Whichever party you
yeah,
vote,
it's
whatever
a
party,
pretty big one. So I think it's better for people to vote early, as
yeah,
opposed to
and
getting
I
it on
have
the last minute.
I have women in my life. I have daughters, too, and naturally, you worry about a lot of things that is said, and
Yep.
many politicians they'll promise stuff, but it's some stuff that is being said is scary.
Yeah.
So I do that, and we took her to some Halloween activities related to school, and
Yeah.
then we went back home. So there was a parade, a Halloween parade that we were gonna go to. But we were both pretty tired, so we just came home.
Okay. That's probably better though. We just have a 2-year-old daughter, and
Oh, congrats!
sometimes at the end of the day, yeah, thanks. Sometimes if she doesn't get a nap in, which is a very rare occasion unless we're driving, but sometimes it's we don't have enough energy to bring her to do everything we want to do in a day because
Yeah,
like 2-year-olds, their mind is always running constantly and wanting to do the next best thing before they get overtired, and then we miss out on everything or things here and there, so I get it.
yeah.
But we're doing good with the Halloween stuff. So we're doing something tomorrow, which is going to be fun. We have a fire station down the road from us, and they're going to let all the kids get in the fire trucks and the big vehicles and the ambulances and do like a handing out candy and stuff. And we got a costume for her and everything. So
Yeah, we took a lot of the. There was my wife went yesterday. There was a lot of the. My daughter's 8, but she's pretty tall for her age. She thinks she towers over most of the kids in her class. So we
okay.
took a lot of the old costumes and we went to this. She went, not me. She went to
Uh-huh.
this homeless shelter. So they donated a bunch of costumes for a lot of the kids that were at this particular shelter. So that was a lot of fun.
Oh, that's
But
nice.
yeah, so that was really good to see. So there was so much excitement in these kids' faces, who really don't have much.
Yeah, right.
Yes.
That's very nice of people to do that, especially for the less fortunate to be able to not be involved with so much that they can be able to do that for those people.
That is good. Joe, give me a second. I want to just get something to write some. There's some new channel names here that I think I'm subscribed to most people here, but some of the other, uh, and I want to make notes of some of the names because I'd rather call people by their first names than the channel names. Like
Yeah,
hydroponic.
I've got a list. Some people aren't on here, but that's one thing I like to do in this channel too. Is sometimes especially if they're coming on a regular basis, it's nice to be able to know their first
Yeah,
name.
because it's. I think with George, with the first live that I did with George, one of the things he said was that there's no way in hell that you wouldn't getting to know you unless it was via this method.
Yep.
Because my life, very young in my early 20s, it's always work and family. You don't have really. I don't have I have a lot of work people that work friends, let's say,
Yep.
but it's not anybody that I really choose to hang out with. So it's funny that I spend a lot of the time watching live and just chatting with people who are in different parts of the world that I really don't know, but know them now.
Mm-hmm. And
And
it's been a very enjoyment. It's been a very nice to get to know people on YouTube. You know, I had really good experiences, and I really can't complain about each and every one I've been on live with and got to know. So it's been nice, especially when you start to connect, and then you start to have similar interest in the hobby and stuff, and you kind of learn from each other, and I think that's beneficial as well.
Yeah. And going back to I think the day that I jumped in, I think you were with Jesse and Happy Place. Forgot his name.
Oh, Happy Place Aquatics, yeah,
Yeah,
Jim.
yeah, the
Yeah.
gym, the day that I jumped in to your live.
Yeah,
I
that was
think
a good stream there too. It was nice to have everybody in there.
I was mentioning, or we started talking. I said that that's something that I wanted to follow up when I did the live with you about quarantining, which is just a good topic to, I think, a
Oh
good
yeah,
topic to speak
Mhm.
of. Which is, I think I have a good bad experience that I've had with not quarantining or not doing it properly. Um, One of the things I do like to do, as I said before, is I quarantine for 4 to 6 weeks, especially the discus. And I have my own routine. Everybody has their own routine. And there's one person, I'm not going to mention her name, he says, "Oh, I don't quarantine my fish. I think that stresses them, and just put them in the tank, watch them. And if you feel that you have to quarantine a fish, it's because you probably chose wrong. I mean, obviously, like I said before, you stare at a fish for a while, you look at that one. Okay, I like that one, but let me watch it for a while. You watch behavior, you look, are they hiding? You look for the fish, typical thing that
Yep.
tells me the fish is not well, right?
Mm-hmm.
But once you pick them, especially parasites, that's something that's going to show up much later.
Yeah, and that's one thing I thought of too. Is like when some of these parasites, they're not even visually like known, and until it's almost too late.
One discus for me once passed a tapeworm, and it was like, holy crap. And I
Yeah.
actually saw him passing it. But one of the things I treat them for parasites. I think because some of them are just like a one-time thing, I treat
Yep.
them. And then I go into treating. I use a trio of medication: is kanamycin,
Mm-hmm.
nitrofurazone, and metronidazole, right?
Okay.
Or flagyl. It comes and it's sold. I buy from a particular company. I can mention the name if you guys want. But when I've looked online, it's sold as a trio also from other places. Also the same mix.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the great thing about it is that it covers both aerobic and anaerobic. And then again, I like being a nurse for 41 years. I
Uh-huh.
certainly feel very comfortable talking about antibiotics and different things.
Yep.
And so it covers a lot of stuff that will that will affect most of the fish, except some parasites, right?
Yes.
And so I think treating them with that, I've not yet to see, okay, that this particular mix of medication has killed a fish. The only problem that I have had that I can say was probably maybe not directly related to that is the goldie, the pleco, those the golden nugget plecos.
Yeah.
I lost two, maybe three in quarantine. I have three of them here now, right? But I think I lost three in quarantine. It may have been to one of the antibiotics. I don't know. So
Okay.
when I do get new one of those, I treat it separately or I just observe it separately, right?
Okay. So instead of like just using your normal medications, you're just putting them in a quarantine tank and
Separately, and just watch them because I don't know which one is affecting them.
yeah.
Or maybe with some other factors. I don't know because others I treated them and they were fine, right? So with
Mm-hmm.
the quarantine that I do is I also treat once a month with a parasite, fluendazole. I use this particular brand called Cloverleaf brand. It's a one
Okay.
treatment once a month. They recommend that you do it every month. It treats multiple parasites. And once you
Okay.
have the fish there, they've been treated, they do okay. There's no reason for them to have an issue, the typical things. But those
Yeah.
those four discs that I showed that they're losing weight, there's no signs of parasite. I know they've been treated multiple times, so there should
Mm-hmm.
be no new parasites in there. But they do. I lost four of them maybe a year ago for
Okay.
underweight again. Now, once they get so skinny, sometimes you cannot. It's hard to bring them back. I've brought some of them back, right, which are doing
Yep.
fine over here. But I had on this discus tank, I had a bunch of some barbs. I had rainbows and rose line barbs, very fast feeders. So they were out competing for food.
Uh-huh.
So this
That,
is
that
my
I get
reason
that.
for them because they didn't have any issues. I know there was no issues with parasite, so I moved them out. So I'm kind of overfeeding them a little bit now, just to make
Yeah.
them such low eaters that by the time they and during the feeding frenzy, some of them would hide and not eat enough. But going back to the bad experience with the quarantining was I got a bunch
Uh-huh.
of small little fish from online. I so you get a fish, you get impatient. You want to put them in the tank quickly. So I think I rushed that, and I wound up with having columnaris,
Oh
which
man. Yeah.
it can wipe out your whole tank in 24 hours.
Yeah. You had uh did you have that happen like within your fish keeping that wiped out like a good decent amount at one point?
Not in 24 hours, but I can tell you that I lost 20 discs, about one, two, three, four a day.
That's
At
crazy.
some point with this particular trio, they were bouncing back because he also
Uh-huh.
treats one of them also treats columnaris, right? One of those three medications, and they were
Yeah.
bouncing back. And then because some of them have hole in the head, the stress of being sick, one of the particular
Yeah.
fishes had also developed a kind of a bad case of hole in the head. And I tried in between. I tried one of the fenbendazole, which doesn't dissolve well at all in the water. Okay. And I've read that some people have had trouble with this. So I tried that. And after that, man, they started going down. But I lost the whole tank. I still have one gourami and
Okay.
a few Harlequin rasboras that survived. The whole tank
Oh,
is
wow.
gone. The whole tank and 50% of everything else in the house.
I didn't
So
realize that Colomaris really does that. It can happen that fast.
we can't do that. So whatever anybody says, oh, there's of course two school of thoughts: medicate or don't medicate during quarantine. You know what?
Hmm.
If I lost over $4,000 or $5,000 worth of discus, I'm going to quarantine.
Yeah, absolutely. Especially in that case scenario for sure.
Yeah, because I won't take a chance. Again, I've not lost discus during quarantine
Hmm.
ever, and I haven't lost
No.
any fish during quarantine. Some may die because you bring new fish in, small fish. Some of them will just die because there's the transport and everything else that will happen. But
Yeah, I
not.
mean, sometimes fish die. There's nothing you can do about it, but
Mhm.
it's better to be safe than sorry, because you never know.
Yeah. And another thing about medicating fish, again, it's again different schools of thought. I'm looking for more from my medical background. You
Yeah.
take, for example, metronidazole, or flagyl, right?
Yep.
Uh, you get something like general cure. It tells you do 2, 3 treatments one day. You skip one, and there is no. I don't want to say there's no. There's some medication that is a one-shot treatment per se for some things, but most of these bacteria, certainly not with metronidazole for anything, any intestinal treatment, any kind of intestinal infection or other kind of things that it treats in medicine, in human medicine.
Right.
That is a 3-day treatment every other day, and these bacteria are very hardy. So
Hmm.
I don't. I'm not of the belief that 3 treatments is going to wipe out an illness.
Yeah, you wouldn't think.
So
And how long have you been doing this routine then? For the three
for
medications that you mentioned?
probably for the minimum of 3 years now, because since the pandemic, I've started keeping fish again. But
Okay.
I think I have quite a medications here because I've tried a lot of different things. But I think this particular trio plus the other antiparasitic medications,
Yeah.
uh, like flubendazole and those type, and also prasicrol for tapeworms.
Yeah.
I've been doing it for a minimum of 2 years or 3 years maybe, and I just keep that routine. It's working for me. And even when
Okay.
they get sick, like even with the hole in the head, because with the hole in the head, the blue one that I told you about, that
Yeah.
during breeding, immediately after they start laying eggs, you get the little thing on the pimple. It looks like a pimple first, then it bursts
Hmm.
and you get the hole. And it's immediately treated as soon as so I started treating the whole time because if that one has it, others will have it. It's in the tank already, right? And
Yeah, and that's that you can hole in the head can be transferred from fish to fish, right?
and it's
Yeah.
can be transferred. So if you have it in the tank already, uh, the other ones will have it. So you treat the whole tank. I treat the whole tank. It gets more expensive.
Yeah, I was gonna ask like your dosage too on your treatment, per gallon of what you do with their.
They have a dose per gallon, so it does cost more to treat all these tanks.
Yeah.
But if you quarantine the fish at first in a 20-gallon tank, certainly is not inexpensive, and then putting them in, making everybody sick and having to treat everything, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it's worthwhile doing it.
That's kind of how I feel it too. Is I actually have like just a few empty tanks in itself. So like whenever I get my new fish, I do the same process of just keeping them in their own tanks, and maybe I'll put some in like maybe 4 or 5, and just like the biggest one that I quarantined in was a 55, and I didn't have any issues thankfully. But most of the time, if I get a few fish, it's usually going to be like in a 20-gallon, give or take. Yeah. Just because the medication's cheaper, with instead of quarantining a big giant tank like you just said.
Yeah. Mandy just says.
Oh yeah, I was going to bring that comment up.
Yeah. Go ahead.
But she says depending on the fish and the source, I've skipped quarantine once or twice, but with most, it's 2 months, even longer, especially if they act weird all during quarantine. So with that being said, have you, other than the plecos you mentioned, have you seen anything that's any like reaction to like the medication or something you've noticed differently?
No, not really. You say like I've ordered maybe 40. I like the Cardinals versus the neon, right?
Yes.
Because of the full red bar. My favorite color, right? I like the full red bar all across the body. They cost a little bit more, slightly more, not much. But they've always said that with those fish, you will lose in transfer. You have 40, maybe you'll keep 30, right?
Okay.
But in transport, you would lose some. But then many of the ones that I have, this particular group here.
Yeah, there was a ton of those in there. Those were all Cardinals, right?
Yeah, I must have at least. Let me switch back to the other phone for a minute, if you don't mind.
Okay.
Let me sign in again. Okay, whenever you're ready. I think we're good.
Yeah, go ahead.
There's the tank was just fed, so there's all that stuff lying around. This is a group of them here. They're all Cardinals, and there's a pretty big bunch of Harlequin at the back. Those are I keep as desert fish, and there's this other bunch over here of the Cardinals. So there's got to be minimum of 40 in there.
Yeah, that's quite a lot, and they really pair well with the Harlequins too.
Yeah, they do well, and there are times when they're schooling at the bottom. You can switch off from this camera, Joe. They pair off quite well. I mean, with them, and they school very nicely also, which is cool. But with them, when you get them shipped, you will get some that drop off. That just happens, right?
And are they just dainty in that aspect? I guess, for loss of better terms.
Say that again.
Are they're more of like dainty, like more like they can't handle a lot of stress, and that tends to be the factor.
Once I've gotten them through the quarantine process, again the same. Let's say if I get, sometimes I may get I got some zebra from the auction, right? They're small, not expensive. Again, I got them for $10, I think, a bunch of them, right? In the auction on Jeff. But I put them through the same quarantine process because they're right now. I got those, and I'm keeping them in the quarantines and the treatment tanks, except where they're babies, because they will eat the babies. I keep them there because you get detritus worms sometimes, and they'll finish them off, right? So that's why I'm keeping them there, and I have some quarries at the bottom to keep the bottom clean, and a pleco in each tank, a bristlenose, just to keep the algae down. But I treat them all the same, because the thing is that they're going to be sharing space with the other ones, and this is what happened with when I had that large loss. So I treat them all the same, and if I have a bunch, let's say if I get 20 Cardinals and I put them in a 10-gallon tank, it doesn't cost much to treat that tank. Right? Because they're going to go in this tank here, the Cardinals, right? Or one of the other Cardinals.
And you'll treat the Cardinals, like even them being small fish, you'll still keep them in quarantine for about 2 months?
I try the same, because this is where my experience last time was. Something brought something in, and I don't know where it came from which facility, from which seller, online seller it came from, and you just never know.
Yeah,
you just never know. So
my wife, by the way.
Yeah, I rather stay on the You have another prize person. Is that one of
Yeah,
yours?
that's my wife right there. She's saying cool fish.
How do you pronounce her name? Ashley.
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 Yep.
Okay. Different spelling. Thank you,
Yeah.
Ashley. Thank you for looking.
Yeah.
Uh, so I treat them the same again, only because they're going to be sharing space with others. And sometimes
Yeah, that makes sense.
yeah, I try not to mix equipment, from one tank to the other, like
Yep.
net. But sometimes you do anyway. And the siphon tube that I've made a siphon tube. When I have to do water changes, I have a 1 horse power pump, like the 120. I could
Yep.
drain 80% in about 6.5 minutes. It just takes a long time to fill it again, right? But I
Yeah.
have this 1 horse power pump. I made these tubes out of PVC, but I have one for each tank, so I don't have to wash in between and just keep it specifically for that tank only. So I try not to
Yeah.
transfer stuff.
I've always heard that that's good practice, especially like if you're really concerned about, expensive fish inside a tank, if it's depending on everyone's situation, of course, and what they can afford, that it's always good to have separate hoses between your quarantine tanks and your main show tanks. It's a
Yeah.
smart thing to do.
And I think we all have a bunch of nets. So if we net from one tank to the other, it's
Yeah.
you minimize the chances. It's not going to be 100% because
No.
some water can potentially get across from one side to the other. But when I had the hole in the head, and this one recently, it was 3 weeks ago. Then 3 weeks ago, now I'm treating again. So it's 10 days of daily water changes. 20%. So it takes a little bit of time every day. But I can do all the tanks in about an hour. It's only just dump and refill again.
That's
And
good.
but you're always gonna get some water in between. But if I'm treating one tank, guess what? They all getting treated.
Yep. It's that's if you see one fish with it, then that's all you can really do.
Or when I get on the other tanks where I don't have discus, if I see that one fish dies, you expect that because they go through the life cycle, they die for
Yeah.
whatever reason. But if I see that one died today, another one or two dies, and they, these smaller fishes, they start dying, something's happening. What it is, we don't know.
Yep.
So I treat it again. I hit them with the same trail. It's gonna cover pretty much everything except some parasites, which they're probably not dying from a parasite issue.
Yep.
I think
And that would be a little bit more obvious, you would think, if it was like a parasite issue, then.
yeah.
Yeah.
And I have not had white poop in a while. Again, they've been treated regularly. And if you have that much money invested in one tank, because even with this tank back here, where I have the acaras,
Yep.
most of the I have a bunch of rainbows in there. Most of the rainbows are about $20 each, right? I have 6 or 5 clown loaches. Again, they're probably about $20, $30 each. So it adds up. It adds up.
It really does. And I know a thing or two about all that myself. I didn't start my fish room just in one day or 1 week. I mean, it was a progression period for sure. What are you gonna? I was gonna ask about your clown loaches. When they start to get bigger, are you planning to just not keep them anymore, or just replace them whenever they get bigger?
I had clown loaches years back, but they did not get to the full-grown size now because they are schooling fish. You needed to keep a minimum, so I have 5 of them there.
Okay.
And it took me a while to get them, but I always wanted them again. So when I set this 90-gallon up, I said, let me put them there, knowing that they are such slow growers.
Yeah.
Hopefully, and with the place where the second place where I buy most fish, where I say that I also may get discus occasionally from there if I see the right one. They have some big ones. They're huge.
Yeah.
And,
I know they can get really big, so that's why I was like, well, I hope you have a plan B for whenever they do get big.
I don't know. Probably the plan B, maybe just to rehome them or something.
Yeah.
And then buy smaller ones, because then you've enjoyed them for all the years, whatever it takes.
Yep.
I have them for about
that's what's nice too. Is I think a lot of people really do like the loaches. I think just because of their interactions and the way that they move around on the bottom and stuff. I mean, it's quite a unique feature that they have.
Yeah, I have a lot of different loaches. The yo-yo loaches I like. They're very active, very nice.
I have them too.
Yeah, the color patterns, and I have some of the zebra loaches on the other thing. And also the zebra loaches and What are these guys? Let me see. I hardly see this guy because he's always hiding in a cave. Put me back to the other camera again. Let me sign on. Let me see. Pleco certainly I like a lot. You can switch me over when you're ready, okay?
Yep.
These guys, let me see. He's probably gonna hide, but I think out of the Plecos.
Oh, like those spotted plecos are really, really neat.
Oh yeah, this one is when his fins are up, it's bright yellow.
Uh-huh.
They hide a lot in the Pleco cages. Sometimes more at night comes out, and there's some of the zebra roaches hiding back there. You see it?
Oh yeah, yeah. I did see him after he skirted the back.
Yeah, under that piece of wood, it's hollow on the bottom, so they
Okay.
spend a lot of the time in the plants there, and they hide a lot.
Are those the blue ones in there? Are those the oh man.
Which one? That one?
The barbs, are they a different color type of barb then?
This is a tiger barb. They call this particular one. They call this one platinum green, but although it doesn't look so green, some of them, like this one, maybe a little more green. But this is the regular green one, but the same one.
With the red nose on it.
Yeah. Okay. This one comes flashing along here, and then this one on the back. You see it in the middle? That's a platinum green, and there's a difference between among some of them, but these are more expensive. The other regular barbs they go $5 to $6, depending. These usually go $10 to $12.
Okay.
General, and the regular green tiger barbs is this one, the emerald green ones. But this one,
I knew there was like different colored tiger barbs, but man, I'd never seen that type of like platinum green before. So that's really unique.
It's considered a tiger barb, but it's just a variation of them. There's two of them. You see the color because it's almost there's two of them there. One of them has that little platinum green. If you look online for them, you will see the ideal representative color. You can switch camera.
Sense that the regular tiger barbs are chonky.
Yeah, you can switch camera again.
Okay.
Yeah, so they're pretty. They're pretty, and I like the mix of colors there. I like fish because of the color. I mean, other than the other benefits that they bring on. So when I buy a fish, most of the times I keep males where there is a color difference.
Yep. Yeah, that's how my peacock and hap tank is upstairs. It's all males, for that purpose. And to lower the aggression down.
Yeah, one of the things that I often say is that when I grow up, I'll get an African tank, but it's the aggression thing. It's one of the things that bugs me, though.
It's a challenge. It's definitely a challenge that's been definitely keep me on my toes. That's for sure.
Yeah, and that's if I think, but the colors on them, I said, you know what, I'll watch them on somebody else's tanks,
Yeah, I think one of these days I'm going to have to get upstairs and do a live stream. But then a lot of times it's, a 2-year-old running around and then other activities throughout the day. So it's kind of hard to live stream up there when everything's, quiet down here.
Mandy says that those regular tiger barbs are chunky. They get chunky once they get, those are probably 2 to 3 year old already. And once they get big, they get quite chunky because one of my wife's cousin, I went to her house. So she has some tiger barbs or something else. And I said, oh my God, they don't bother the other fish, just what you've read until before I started having them. I always liked them. But then you find and you read stuff that you find that you have a different experience. Like a lot of the stuff that I said about this goes at this goes at that. I say, you know what? They like any other fish.
You just got to dive in and learn from mistakes. And, I always think of like every fish has a different personality. You just got to learn from it.
Exactly. Like I have two, come over here, Beth. Say hello. This is Bethany. She's 8. Say hello to Joe and everybody else. There's a lot of people online here.
About 10.
About 10 people now. 9.
Yeah.
Right.
Hello.
Yeah. So I think early on she made a little video, short video.
Okay.
She did water changes, so she's on there. She likes the fish. She's the one who's always watching.
Did she help feed them and everything too?
Yeah, I have them on automatic feeder, but they always want to feed, whenever they can.
Yeah.
She wants to feed. She wants to do this. She's always, once in a while when I'm doing water changes on the barb tank, I let her play with the tank and catch the fish, net them, and touch them. Yeah,
Yeah.
only
Have you,
that one time. But
have you ever had ghost plecos like Hydro did?
I don't know. No, ghost plecos, I haven't had those. No.
Okay, I haven't either.
Yeah, what I don't know. I'm not sure what they look like. Ghost plecos. I wonder why do you call them ghost plecos? Is it coloring, or they're ghosts because you never see them?
That could be. That's a little play on words.
Yeah,
They
let
look
me get.
more
Let me
like I
get
just Google searched it just recently, and it looks like they're like a white with black spots, kind of. But
There was one that I was looking, which I found interesting, which is a vampire pleco, but it's mostly carnivore. So
okay,
I didn't get it because I want to make sure that if they don't get properly fed, I don't want to lose them. Does anybody knows? Oh well, I don't know if you can put up a picture of the ghost. Give me a second.
yeah, I'm not sure if I can. I'm not sure how to do that. The only thing I could do is maybe share the screen, but that's about it. And I've done that.
Hydroponic aquarium and plants. What is the name of the owner of the channel? I hate. I don't have. I think I added myself. I subscribed to the channel from one of the other chats, but I seen this channel. What is your first name? Two of my daughters have my own tank, hydroponic says, and others have fish in mine. My daughter's
Okay.
the one who named some of the fishes. She said those that are different. She names.
Let me see. So like ghost plecos. Well, I don't know if you guys can be able to see this, but they.
Okay. All right. Yeah. I have something that looks similar. The bands are a little bit darker, but again, after a while, you lose track of the names. You see the colors. Oh, I like that. I'll take that one. But then you lose some of the names on some, the L numbers or the actual names.
Very pale, very pale. Yeah, that's cool
Yeah.
though. It's amazing how many different types of plecos there are out there, and like some of them actually get pretty pricey too.
Okay, hydroponic is Susan. Thank you, Susan.
Okay.
See,
I didn't know that either. So I meant to ask it earlier because I don't have her on my name
I have to
list.
keep a list. One of the other thing is that sometimes you don't know whether the person on the other side is male or female.
Yeah, I don't like to screw that up in the beginning.
Yeah, but in my case, Joy, I'm saying just the joy of the other pleasure, but it could be Joy the name also.
Yeah,
So
that could be.
Joy of Fishkeeping. I think somebody once said, Joy, is Joy a male or female? I said, well, definitely a boy, a 62-year-old boy.
Yeah. Well, Jose, is there anything else you'd like to share with us this evening? Or
I didn't think it would go that long, 138. I don't know where they did most of the talking, but that's always the thing. If you go on a live, you say, what am I going to say? But since this is not so much a question and answer thing, but just more of a conversation, it makes it more interesting,
Yeah, and I appreciate you showing us all your tanks and all your different medications that you do. There's a lot to learn from this live stream, I personally think, just because of the fact that I didn't know that much about medications and different quarantine processes of how you do things and what works well for you. So that's a nice thing to learn. And just about discus himself and breeding them. So I think, those two alone itself has a really good collaboration for this live stream. So I appreciate you sharing all that with us.
Yeah, we have 14 people, it looks like now, right?
11 on my StreamYard. I don't have it on YouTube currently, but if you're showing 14.
Yeah, on YouTube. It's 12, okay. Just changed to 12. But at least we have some people coming on because I thought that from the
beginning when we started, there was like 4.
Yeah. No, also they have, I told you at the same time at 8, they had the auction. Jeff Pelham and a few others.
Yeah.
That draws a lot of people. Like normally they may have 10, 12 people on a live, and I've seen there were like 35 people at once. Some people just came for the auction.
Okay.
which is a great thing. I never been in an ocean of any type, so
Yeah,
that was
I
fun.
haven't either. But it looks like we have our max viewers 13, current viewers 13. Oh, we're getting 14 now. So my mom liked the guest and liked seeing the fish, so she
Thank you,
appreciated
Kathy. Pleasure knowing of you.
it. Yeah. I got to see my dad, my mom, and my wife kind of pop in here and there. So
Yeah, I think this is
it's
the first time on your life that I've seen them pop in, or maybe I didn't notice the price name before.
yeah, that could be too.
I didn't make the connection. When I saw two prices together, I said, "Wait a minute,
You're like, hold
maybe
on a
there's a link."
second. Yeah, it's been all my lives, that I've scheduled out, it's worked out really well, and I've been 100% satisfied with how everything's been going. So I've learned something new each and every time, which is fantastic. So I think it's good knowledge for everyone, especially with how each person does something individually, we can all take away from. And I think that's the important part.
Oh yeah, Mandy says that the links it takes a few minutes to catch up. I guess with the numbers.
Yeah.
I never get a fish fam link. Who runs the channel? The name of the person? Do you know?
I do not. I don't even remember how I got started with the Fish Fam League. I don't know if Mandy would know more about that.
It's a more than
I
one
don't even
person.
remember how that even happened.
Yeah, fish
So
fam. Do
maybe
you mind
Mandy could.
posting your name? Because it feels a little bit more personal when you know the person's name rather
Well,
than
I
going.
think the Fish Fam Link is like something that's like automatic, and your channel gets put into like a system, and then it just kind of automatically puts things in. But so Matt, so I guess Liquid Zoo OnlyFans is the coder behind it, and which his name's Matt. So that makes
Sensing
sense.
so okay, so it's Matt is the person, but
Yeah,
there is
for
somebody. Somebody live is on the other end. Obviously, they're putting in the information, and so it's somebody live at the other end other than the program, right?
I would think so, but I'm not 100% on that. Um, yeah, Red, Ashley is my wife, and Kathy's my mom, and Kevin's my dad. They like to pop in on my live streams every now and then. Mandy says a few of us have access to add channels, and people can also submit their own channel if it's not there.
It's cool.
So, yeah.
Anyway, I think I'm gonna sell myself here. I guess you can think most of the people you have on, except Susan from Hydroponic. Everybody, most people have range or moderators, but it's just being a moderator makes it so much. Also, Gordy doesn't have a wrench either, but it's just so much easier going to the channel and subscribing to other people.
Yeah.
When you have a wrench and going to their channels.
Yeah, it does make it easier. I guess I just haven't done it personally.
Yeah. So whenever I see a new name, a new channel, I click, and some of them I've already subscribed to them.
Yep.
Let me see, Hydroponic. I already subscribed from one of the other lives that Susan was on. But Joy, if you have to move on, then we've had a good chat. Look who's here.
Yeah, we've had a very good chat. Efren,
saludos, Efren. ¿Cómo estás?
From Mexico.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can start talking Spanish here for a few minutes.
Yeah, let me tell you a little bit about Efren Villegas, and that will end it there. Efren Villegas, he's a pediatric surgeon in Mexico. He has a fish channel. Does a lot of he does a lot of salt water, but he also has a travel channel that is a little bit smaller.
Okay.
And I was invited. Mexicali is on it. I was invited. Initially, it was like 10 of us. We were invited to join this group that we call Reyes del Agua, which is King of Water, basically.
Oh, yeah.
And so there's a lot of guys, fish keepers in Mexico, Spain, Argentina, basically throughout Latin America, but it's all primarily Spanish speakers. And so Efren Villegas is part of it also.
Okay.
So,
that's cool.
Yeah, so this is posting his information there. So He's a good one. He posts a lot of stuff daily, sometimes quite a few videos.
I'll have to look into it then, because this is the first time I've seen him in here.
Yeah, so I will post. Let me see if I can.
I agree. What is it? We said this was Susan, right? Hydro.
Huh?
This Hydro was Susan, right?
Yeah, Susan is hydroponics. Yeah.
Okay, so yeah, Susan says, "I love the sense of community these lives bring," and I would agree. Like, I think that's what's nice to have this YouTube channel, and it's nice to see it bringing a lot of people, different people in. And
Let me see if I find Efren's channel here.
thanks, Efren. I appreciate it.
I'm trying to find his channel here.
Oh, you're gonna try to post it on the chat?
Yeah, I'm going to try to post it again. It's
yeah, if you can, great. And if maybe the Zen, if Mandy wants to do it too, or looks like Zen beat you to it.
I'm telling you, I'm slow. Yeah, that's it. That's it. Thank you, Zen. Thank you, Mandy.
Appreciate it, Mandy.
That is definitely, she beat me to it. I am slow trying to find things. I get there eventually. But check out his channel. It is Spanish.
Okay.
But again,
I'll have to brush up on my Spanish skills then. But regardless, for content purposes, I obviously would still check it out.
Yeah, Villegas said he just subscribed now, so that's probably to your channel.
Well, appreciate it.
Efren, gracias por pasar por aquí. Siempre un placer en verlo. Y siempre estamos apoyando.
He understood every bit of that, and I'm just like, well, I got about 10% of that.
Thanking him that we're always supporting each other, so it was good to see him in the English chat. So
my parents actually, they've been to Dominican Republic several times too. That's where they took vacations to, and that's why I started going to it for a few times. So they have a little bit of that.
Yeah, every time I go by during this past Father's Day, there's sometimes I escape for a few days and go there for a weekend. But usually when I go, I like to go to the less tourist places.
Yeah.
I was 11 when I left. It's a fairly large island. It may take you sometimes 6 to 8 hours to go from one point to the end to the other one. And they've improved a lot of the highways where you can travel in quite a less time. But I try to go places, less common places, and I did a slight some travel videos and some things that I posted. So this past Father's Day, I asked my older kids, I said, I never asked for anything for Father's Day, but I asked them for a drone. And it was one that it cost about $1,100. You're not getting a $1,000 drone, Dad. So they got me one that it was like maybe $3 something. So I said, listen, don't be offended, but I'm gonna return it and use that money and then buy what I wanted. So I was able to post some shorts and some videos on
cool.
the DR in July.
Well, that's cool.
Yeah, trying to post some different things when it's possible,
Yeah, that's fantastic. Yeah, my folks love Dominican, and we've had really good luck with Dominican ourselves. So
yeah, your mom Kathy says she loves Dominican. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's good.
Yeah, I remember first going to Dominican. My very first time being there, that was before they had like the big highway and they redid the airport and everything. And I remember like traffic was just horrendous. But then like once the highway got built and everything it smoothed everything out and like travel got so much better. The airport got updated.
That to travel, if you're coming from the north, which is the area where I'm from, Puerto Plata is the northern coast. So my birthplace is kind of inland. There's no it's not a coastal city. My wife is from Puerto Plata before Punta Cana and the whole eastern coast was developed. Puerto Plata was the place to go, and the tourism dropped a lot. But recently, they have 2 ports now where cruise ships go there. So tourism is coming back in the area there, and there's a lot of the northern beaches are beautiful. The Punta Cana area, the white sand beaches.
Yep, that's where we were at, was Punta Cana.
Yeah. Now, if you have to go from the north and go towards Punta Cana, it would take from my city about 8 hours, over 6-7 hours to get there.
Okay.
So they dump some highway, cut across mountains, so you can make the trip a lot quicker. And to get through from the north, going through the capital city, which is Santo Domingo, it would
Yeah.
take you a minimum of over an hour just to get through the traffic. So
Oh
they
my
did this other highway that circumvents the city, and you
Mhm.
avoid all that traffic. So it just makes it zipping across the island so much
Oh
quicker.
yeah. It definitely has improved then for sure.
Saves
Uh,
you,
my,
saves you
my
a lot
mom
of
says
time.
that they're very they're gracious.
Yeah. So sometimes, like any cultures, there's good and bad.
Yeah.
But I
Yeah.
think most of the people are Dominican Republic by nature, very friendly people,
Yeah.
But
We've had
again,
good experience.
not to say that 100% of the people are, like any place.
All right, Jose. Well,
I, just-
we are going to call it unless you have anything else you want to share with us.
I think
I'm pretty good.
I
I
think
think
we yapped enough. Thank you, and thank you again for inviting me. So
yeah, absolutely. We're going to do a debrief backstage before we end this, and then I want to thank each and every one of you who's been in the chat. Thank you, Mandy, for posting the different channels, and everybody else who's been in the chat. I appreciate you coming in, Mom, Dad, my mom, or mom, my wife, my dad, and everybody else. So it's been very entertaining, and we got to learn a lot, just like always. So
thank you all for listening to these two dudes talk. Other things.
indeed. You guys all have a fantastic night. And Jose, I'll meet you backstage here in a minute.
All right. Thank you. Good night,
All
all.
right. See you, everybody.